Hi everyone, Matthew DeSantis here with NYRA Bets, here with another Travers Spotlight video, and this one is on Shug McGaughey's horse, Corporate Power. Now, before we get to this very intriguing runner who's at a big price for this race, make sure to press that like button on this video and subscribe to our NYRA Bets YouTube channel. We have a lot of great content, whether it's race previews, full card analyses, racing live streams, handicapping and betting tutorials for new and beginning players, as well as these sorts of specialty spotlight videos. So listen, a lot of great stuff here. Make sure to subscribe today. All right, let's talk about an interesting horse, Corporate Power, 15-1 on the morning line. And this is one for Shug McGaughey, who it's an interesting horse to talk about and to see where he fits in this race. He's a horse coming off a second place finish. There's clearly talent, though. And I do wonder if he ends up being a horse that maybe gets the right trip and the right setup in this sort of a spot. And I'll be honest, he's a horse, the closer it gets to the race, I start liking more and more in this spot. My good friend Gino Piccola, who I do some videos with occasionally, and I was on his podcast this week, I know he's really high on this horse, and I'm getting there with him. This is a horse I think that's kind of intriguing in this spot. And let's talk a little bit more about why that is. Well, first of all, trainer Shug McGaughey has to be taken seriously. He's won the Travers 4 times, so he knows what it takes to win this race. Guys, jockey Javier Castellano, who he just seems to be winning these big races, won the Alabama last week on Power Squeeze. Obviously, you saw all the success from last year with Arcangelo in the Belmont and in the Travers as well. Sired by Curlin. That's a big part of this. He's going to like the distance. Whenever you see that Curlin pedigree, that's usually a horse that very much so relishes doing the 2 turns. Damn his road to victory. Good pedigree for going a lot longer than what he's been asked to do to this point. Now, he is an intriguing horse in that he won the Sir Barton Stakes 2 back. And then last time out, really just couldn't quite get there in time to get to Unmatched Wisdom, the winner of the Curlin Stakes, and Chad Brown's horse. But here's the really nice part. It's the last 4 times out. In other words, 4 of his 5 career starts, he has hit the exacta, finished first or second. So he's been a remarkably consistent horse. And while running against stakes company the last couple of races, but still a horse that is relatively lightly raced compared to certainly a horse like Dornick or even Sierra Leone and Fierceness, who have been in a lot of grade 1 races at this point. You kind of know who they are. This is a horse that still, I feel, is ascending and maybe hasn't even found his best race yet. Speaking of that, let's look a little bit at the past performances. This is a horse that didn't debut until he was 3 years old down at Gulfstream Park during that championship meet. Here's the thing, finished 4th that day. He is trained by Shug McGaughey, who I absolutely love as a trainer. But let the record show, Shug will, under no circumstances, get a horse cranked up first time out, particularly a horse that is a Curlin out of a quality road dam that is clearly meant to do 2 turns on the dirt. Going 7 furlongs, we're not going to get that horse cranked up first time out. So it wasn't surprising to me to see that he finished 4th in that particular race. And that was a really, really strong race, by the way. We should mention that was the Victory Avenue and Speakeasy race in debut. We're going to see Speakeasy in the H. Allen Jerkins the race before this. So, was facing some tough competition, comes right back next time out, goes 1 1/8 miles, wins that race, and then steps up into Optional Claiming Company at Aqueduct, handles an off track that day, finishes 2nd, but shows like I said, a little bit more talent, then goes and runs over another wet track at Pimlico, gets the win in the Sir Barton, and really kind of a gutty effort there, coming right down to the wire, showed some really great closing speed in that particular race. And then last time out in the Curlin, again, was behind a horse like Unmatched Wisdom, not able to really get there at the end, but was certainly making up ground. Here's the thing. This is a horse that if you look at those running lines, what sticks out to you? There's not a lot of 1s. In other words, he's not a horse that needs to be on the lead. And that's notable because in this race, you have Dornick, who needs to be on the lead. You have Fierceness, who needs to be very close to the pace, if not exactly on it. You have Torpedo Anna, who clearly wants to be very close to the pace, if not on it. You have Batten Down, who's only ever won on the lead. And you have Unmatched Wisdom, who has 1 gate to wire and also has 1 sitting 2nd, but no worse than that. So you have 5 horses out of the 8 in this field that are going to want to flash significant early speed. Yet Corporate Power, he's not Sierra Leone. He's not Honor Marie. He's not a deep closer. He's a mid-pack horse that has really good stamina. And I'll be honest, he's an intriguing horse in this race because I feel like he's still getting better. And I feel like the 1.25 miles is going to fit him really well. I feel like the pace scenario here is going to fit him really well. That unlike Sierra Leone and Honor Marie, who may have a lot to do coming for home, he's going to get the first crack at that beleaguered group of front runners. He's going to be sitting probably 5th or 6th during the early part of this race, but he's not going to be that far behind horses that are up on the front end. Whereas Honor Marie and Sierra Leone, even with the blinkers on Honor Marie, it'll be interesting to see where that horse fits. Maybe he fits a little bit closer. Sierra Leone, we know he's going to be all the way in the back, and he'll let there be open lengths between him and the next horse. So I just think Corporate Power could get the right sort of trip and the right sort of setup here. And he's at 15 to 1 on the morning line. He's a very generous price in this spot. I think he's a horse that I would very much so be interested in including in some of these different types of verticals and wagers, because again, he's just going to trip out in this race. There's a lot of speed. He doesn't need to be on the lead. He can let that go in front of him, but he's got enough tactical speed to make sure he stays in touch with the leaders. And then turning for home, that's where that's where you start to see the Curlin pedigree, because he's going to appreciate that 1.25 miles. He's going to finish strong in that race, just as he finishes strong in all of his races. He's always making up ground. He's always coming from off the pace, and he's always tracking down those leaders. And he's doing it behind, sometimes a strong fraction, but not always. And so, sometimes rather modest fractions for the level that he's running at. You look at that Sir Barton, again, 1 mile and a 16th, and they went 48 and 2, basically 112 and 2 to the 6th furlong. It's not like they were flying around the track. Same thing's true kind of last time out with the Curlin, 112 and 3 to the 6th furlong mark. I mean, again, they're not blistering up front. He's going to get a faster pace, I think, on Saturday than that. And so, again, can he close? Listen, this is a huge step up in class for him, admittedly, but there's something here with this horse. And I just think the combination of pedigree, trip, and pace all makes me think this horse is a little bit more alive than that 15 to 1 morning line might suggest. Now, listen, at the end of the day, it is a big step up in class for him. This is a significant class test. He's never faced graded stakes company before. He's never faced horses of this caliber, though I think he's faced better horses to this point than a horse like Unmatched Wisdom. So I feel in that regard, he is actually a better value play than Unmatched Wisdom. If you were to ask me which of those two horses is more likely to hit the exacta or trifecta, I would tell you Corporate Power 10 times out of 10. Yes, maybe Unmatched Wisdom has a higher ceiling potentially, but I don't know if the trip is going to work out for Unmatched Wisdom. And I don't know if he wants the 1.25 miles. Whereas with Corporate Power, I know he wants the 1.25 miles, and I know he's going to like the pace setup. And so I just think if you're going to ask me which of those two long shots has a better chance at hitting the board, I think it's Corporate Power. Now, somebody made a very funny comment to me today that said they got Corporate Power and Unmatched Wisdom confused. And they said, to be fair, Corporate Power sounds like one of Chad Brown's horses, which is true. He's got a lot of horses that are named after business terms, and it does sound like a little bit like a Chad Brown horse, but rest assured, it is Shug McGaughey who has won this race not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in his career. Again, he knows what it takes to win the Travers Stakes. And I just think this is, like I said, a horse at a price that, could he win? Absolutely. And I wouldn't be shocked if he won. Is he going to be on my tickets in terms of my pick 5? We'll see. Maybe. I mean, he would probably be my 4th choice in this race in terms of including him on a ticket with a horse like Sierra Leone, with a horse like Dornick, with a horse like Torpedo Anna potentially in him. But again, from a ticket construction standpoint, is that really good to have those 3 favorites in one long shot? Obviously depends on how the rest of the sequence plays out. The H. Allen Jerkins feels very spready. I think you can maybe get away with going skinny the first few legs, maybe not singling all the time, but I think going skinnier, I think you can zig one other zag and still go relatively skinny in some of those early races in the late pick 5 sequence. But he's a horse I'm absolutely including in my vertical exotics. and my trifectas, my superfectas, certainly even my exactas. So I really am high on this horse. I think he's an intriguing runner in this race. I think he gets the trip. I think he gets the setup. I think he's got the pedigree to suggest he's going to love it all day up there. And I never underestimate Shug McGaughey in a big race. I always feel like Shug's got one up his sleeve on these type of big days. All right. Well, listen, thanks so much for tuning into this Travers Spotlight Series video on corporate power. Make sure to press that like button and subscribe to the NYRA Bets YouTube channel. My name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and prosperous day at the races and reminding you, friends, it's now post time.